Let's start with the prayer. Om
सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तं
वन्दे
वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् सरस्वती
सरस्वती
वन्दे ब्रह्मरूपी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि भवतु मे सदा सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षुर्नाभितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते.
ಕಾವಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ತೆಳ್ಳಗೆ. ಹಾ ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ.
Okay, so let's start with a quick revision of this diagram. So on the top we have the original consciousness, which is nothing but Brahman, the consciousness principle. And in the example, this is compared to the sun. And then we have 6 mirrors or 6 reflecting medium. And out of them, 3 are on the Jiva side, that is the microcosm side, there are 3. And on the macrocosm side, the right side, we have another 3. Okay. So we have RM1, which is causal body, RM2, which is subtle body, RM3, which is gross body. So on the left side, we have Karana, Sukshma, and Sthula, Shariram. And on the right side, we have Karana Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha, and Sthula Prapancha. So this is at the universal level. And in each of these mirrors, we will have a reflection of this original consciousness. And that reflection is called as reflected consciousness. Okay. And remember that original consciousness can never be seen or experienced or perceived in any way. And the best we can do is only a reflection. For us to perceive or recognize this consciousness, a medium is necessary. And over here we have the 3 reflections, that is Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna. Okay. And these 3 put together is called as Jivatma. So if you ask what is Jivatma in equation form, then you will say Jivatma is equal to RC1 plus RC2 plus RC3. Okay. And what is RC itself? What is the reflection equal to? Reflection is equal to the mirror plus the original. So RC1 is equal to RM1 plus OC1. Okay, like this for all of them. RC1 is equal to RM1 plus OC. So you have to remember this equation because this is the understanding. Okay, so RC1 is equal to RM1 plus OC. How do we know this? Because if you want the reflected sun, then you need to have a mirror and you need to have the original sun. And when you put the 2 together, then you get the reflection of the sun in that mirror. So RC is equal to RM plus.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
From beginning, you cannot hear me?
No. We heard till RM1 plus OC.
Okay. Now it is okay?
Yeah, now
Yes.
it's
Okay. So what is called as RC is nothing but RM plus OC. How? Because the reflection is equal to the original plus the mirror. Okay, so that is why all of these RCs that we see is equal to their respective RM plus the common one, which is OC. Now, what is Jivatma? Jivatma is RC1 plus RC2 plus RC3. Jivatma is the individual, right? So the individual has the 3 bodies and the 3 bodies are backed up by OC. So that is why RC1 plus RC2 plus RC3. That is Jivatma. The Atma plus Anatma is equal to this Jivatma, that is on a micro scale. And on the macro scale, there also we have Atma plus Anatma. Okay, and there it is RC4 plus RC5 plus RC6. And what are the reflecting medium there? The 3 universe, the 3 prapancha. Okay, so, and all of these have to be backed by OC, blessed by OC, and that combination is called as Ishvara or Paramatma. The combination of all the 3 RCs is Paramatma. Okay? Yes.
Meda, so when everything is RC and then we have an RM, why are we separating into microcosm and macrocosm? Because I see that I am part of macrocosm. I am individual. So why are we separating it? Because Sthula Prapancha, I am part of Prapancha. Prapancha is me. I mean, when we talk about the micro, it is even the tree, even the stone, everything, right? Everything is
Everything
RC,
correct. But if
RM.
you directly, if you don't create an equation, how can you establish that the equation, the equal to sign? If you want to put an equal to sign, you need the left side and you need the right side. If directly you put everything only on one side, what will you compare it with? What will you equate it with? The idea,
How about,
the
yeah,
idea
sorry.
of this is that the Jiva thinks he is different from all these things. Now you all are Vedanta students, so you know that, oh, I am a part of the universe, and so, there's no difference and all these things. But in general, what is the notion? The notion is that this is me, everything else is not me, right? That is the ignorance, that I am a separate entity from everything else. This much of my body is mine and everything else is not mine. And because this feeling of me and not me is there, that is why we have all these problems of jealousy, greed, anger, right? Only when you think I want this thing, or that person has that thing and I don't have this thing, it means what? You are seeing a separation. Only when you see that separation, you will ever have this feeling that, oh, they have something that I don't have, right? This gap we want to break, and to break that gap you need 2 sides. If you put everything on one side, then you will not have an equation. What will you compare with?
So, mean to say that, so suppose if I think my perspective, I am microcosm. For a tree is the microcosm. Rest all for the tree, it is everything else is a macrocosm.
You put your sound off.
You can take anything, but if you just take.
You put your sound off for a while.
1 minute. Yes, I ask everyone to stay on mute except the one who is asking the question. Okay, yes. So you can take any individual on the left side. Finally, the equation will be established. The identity, the oneness will be established. So you can take a tree also, you can take a human also, you can take any animal also. It doesn't matter. Jivatma represents any individual or anything that we think is an individual.
this separation is just for our understanding, right? Otherwise, it's everything is the same. I mean, Taijasa and Hiranyagarbha are the same at a individual and then a universal level. Vishwa and Virat are the same.
From the RM point of view, they are not same from RM point of view. So in what way are they the same?
Like, of course, they're backed up with OC
Okay.
and RC. RC, can we? Yeah, RC6. So how come it's different from RM point of view?
Because let us take RM3 and RM6. Okay, that is easy to understand. So you have a body, right? You have some height, some weight, some dimensions, right? And what is RM? So that is your RM3, your sthula shariram, your physical body. Okay, so that is on one side. Then we have RM6, which is the gross universe, which means everything that you can see around you, the whole creation, except because we have taken RM3, your physical body on one side. Other than that, everything else, all the physical things that you can see on the other side, are they equal in any way whatsoever?
No.
No, right? The size is different, the dimension is different, the weight is different, the capacity of the body is different, right? The spatial, time-wise boundaries are different. Everything is different. Is there anything that is same? Other than the Panchabhuta, both are made of Panchabhuta, fine. But other than that, anything else same?
No. RM point of view, no.
From RM point of view, you can never complete this equation. The equation will never hold good. Okay, so when you try to compare the bodies, these RM, the say the physical body or subtle body, it will never work out. The equation will never make sense. And so you have to drop the RM and realize that the essence of both is nothing but OC. Only upon dropping the distortions, we see that all that remains is OC. So from OC point of view, Vishwa and Virat are the same. But from RM point of view, Vishwa and Virat are very much different. The problem is that the Ajnani, the non-Jnani Jiva, goes on comparing RM with RM. He compares his RM with everyone else's RM. He compares his RM with Ishwara's RM, with Bhagwan's RM. And as long as you go on looking at the world with that vision, there is going to be a problem because you are only going to see differences.
Yeah, that's what my question was actually. When everything is different RM, how can we put together as macrocosm? Because if we take other beings as like plants and animals have a different RM, uh, uh, sthula, sukshma, but how can we put them together? This is just for understanding, right? Because a dog will have a different sukshma sharira, a bat will have a different sukshma sharira because their abilities are different. So individually they're different.
All the living beings on the microcosm side, don't put all of them on the left side, only one of them for comparison's sake. Only one.
That's what.
Yourself only on the left side. Yourself, why? Because we want to create identity. Yourself on the left side, you as Jivatma on the left side, and Paramatma, what we call Ishvara, which is the rest of the world on the right side, including all other creatures, all other trees, plants, animals, and all other non-living things also. The whole thing, everything on the right side, only you with your three bodies on the left side.
That's what is my question. If you're putting restall on the other side, they have a different sukshma sharira, different sthula sharira. But how can we all put them together is my question.
That is what the prapancha word means, right? It is a collective.
Okay.
It is a collective. It is not, we cannot say it is like one big thing.
So it's not that, entire other prapancha has a one subtle body. It's not that entire rest of the prapancha has one causal body. Not like that, right?
It is a collective. So all of the things put together.
Okay. Okay. Got it. That's where I think Ishvara comes into picture. Okay. I'll contemplate it.
Okay.
Thank you, madam.
Okay. So this was the diagram, and the equation is that RC is equal to RM plus OC. For you to get the reflection, you need the reflecting medium as well as the original consciousness. Okay. Now,
Medaji, may I ask you one thing? This for OC is equal to RC3. RC3 is equal to RM3 plus OC.
yes.
So RC3 minus RM3 is equal to OC. That means one can realize Brahman if avidya, which is RM3, is removed from the RC3. Yeah? You can interpret like that.
That is correct, but how will you remove? That is the question. The question,
Yeah, by jnana, by Vedanta, by acquiring the jnana.
yes, which means that only by intellectual dismissal you can subtract that RM.
Okay.
Actually, physically try to subtract your RM, right?
Okay. Okay.
It is counterproductive.
So that is not possible in the causal body, not possible because there is ignorance there. Sukshma Sarira, it is fictional.
No, in the causal body, it is just since it is undifferentiated, there is no much scope for us to
Okay.
investigate there.
So
So
it is only possible through the Stula Sarira by removing the Ajnana.
yes, Stula Sukshma by removing the Ajnanam. So what should RC do? RC must negate RC. Till
Okay, thank you.
he thinks that he is RM, but now RC has to be not RM.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So on the left side, we have the Jivatma. And if you remove the distortion means, where does the distortion come from? In any, where is the distortion coming from?
From the
From the
reflecting medium.
From the
body
reflecting
mind
medium.
complex.
From the RM. The distortion always comes from the RM. Remember the example we discussed where we said if you have a small dirty mirror, the sun also looks very small and dirty in that mirror. And if you have a big shiny mirror, the sun also looks very bright in that mirror. Now, actually nothing is happening to the original sun. Where is the distortion coming from? The distortion is from the nature of the mirror. This mirror has a nature of being small and dirty. The other mirror has a nature of being big and bright. So the reflection or that comes in that mirror borrows that distortion from the nature of the mirror. So all distortions that we see belong only to the mirror and never to the original sun. So on the Jivatma side also, if we subtract the distortions, what remains is only Atma. And on the Paramatma side also, if we subtract the distortions, what remains is only Atma, which is nothing but OC. So this, basically what this equation means is that what you have said, Ranganji, RC, Jivatma is RC, minus the distortions that we have got from RM is nothing but OC. And how do you go about this subtraction or this dismissal? It is only through intellectual understanding. It cannot be a physical process at all. It is only through an intellectual understanding that we can go about doing this. So let us examine this little bit more. So what happens is that the Jivatma doesn't know that he is a distorted version of Atma, right? The Jivatma is only able to see RM on both sides. He is able to see his RM, which are his three bodies, and he's able to see the bodies on the other side, which is the Jagat, the whole world. And what does he do? He compares. right? And when you compare from RM point of view, there's always going to be a difference. He sees his body, his mind, and he knows that he has a small body, a finite body, a mortal body, and he knows he has limited power, limited knowledge. He feels small, insignificant. He feels very flawed and imperfect, right? He feels all these things. And on the other side, he sees Jagat, he sees Bhagwan, he sees the Lord. And when he compares, what happens? The body on the other side is very big, it is very large, and it is not bound by space or time. It is not bound in that he can see of. And also, it seems that that body has much more superior powers, much superior knowledge, right? And he feels very inferior compared to this bigger body, right? He feels very small, and that body looks very superior, very large, much more appealing. So he feels he has an unfavorable body, and the other side looks to have a very favorable body. And what he is seeing is only the distortions. What he's seeing is nothing but the distortion. Why? Why are we calling it distortion? Because what is the original? Original is OC, Atma, right? Does Atma have any attributes like big or small? Does Atma have? No, Atma has no attributes at all. But in the Jivatma, in the reflecting medium of Jivatma, Atma appears to be small and inferior. And in the reflecting medium of Paramatma, Atma appears to be very large and all powerful. Now, this attributeless Atma, attributeless entity, seems to take on inferior and superior attributes. And that is the distortion. The distortion is not about whether it is an inferior or superior attribute. The distortion is the fact that an attributeless entity now appears to have attributes. And so, when the Jivatma, when this person is looking only at these RMs, comparing from the point of view of RM, he will only see differences. And that is the root cause of his misery. Because of seeing only differences, he is miserable. But this Jivatma does not know that he is himself a distorted version of Atma, and Paramatma is also a distorted version of Atma. So what should he do? He should drop the distortions, intellectually dismiss the distortions, and what remains is only Atma on both the sides. So there's a very nice example. There's a very nice example given to understand this. So the example of the ocean and the wave. So we've seen the ocean. Everyone has seen the ocean, right? And the ocean has waves, right? What happens to the wave? The wave is born at some point, it suddenly appears, it travels for some distance, and then the wave dissipates again. It's gone. So this wave, if it thinks of itself as an individual, then what does it feel? It feels like I am born, I was here for some time, and then I'm there no more. And it feels like this ocean, which is there, the ocean is so big, it continues even after the wave is gone, and it seems to be very vast, very big, you know. And when you compare from the ocean and the wave, these 2 points of view, they are different, right? The wave is much smaller, the wave is much more finite, it comes and goes. And the ocean is much bigger, much superior, has a much bigger body, and it's there for much longer, right? And when you compare wave and ocean, you will always see the difference. You can never say that wave is equal to ocean. You can say wave is a part of the ocean, that is acceptable. But you can never say wave is equal to ocean, because it is not, right? That's why we have two words for it, wave and ocean. They are two separate, different things. But what is the understanding? From what point of view are they both the same? Wave is nothing but water. Ocean is also nothing but water. What we call wave is just a name and form, nama rupa of water. What we call ocean is also a nama rupa, a little bigger nama rupa, we can say, of water. Ultimately, both are water only. The difference is only at the nama rupa level. But essentially, what is the essence of the wave? Essence of wave is water. What is the essence of ocean? Again, water. From the point of view of water, there is no difference between wave and ocean. From the point of view of nama rupa, name and shape, from that point of view, wave and ocean are different. If we get stuck looking at the nama rupa, we will only see the differences. So we have to look at beyond the nama rupa, we have to look at the essence. And what is the essence? The essence is water alone. So what have we done? We have dropped the distortions and seen the essence. In the same way, when it comes to Jivatma and Paramatma, we have to drop the distortions. Again, what is the distortion here? Here also it is Nama Rupa. Here also it is name and form. So once we drop the name and form, what remains is Atma. And on the Paramatma side also, when we drop the distortions, which are in the form of Nama Rupa, what remains is Atma alone. Okay, is this clear?
Yes, Medha.
Yes, Medhaji.
Medhaji, I'm sorry to interrupt. So the distortion here is the body-mind complex that we're talking about, right? Our identification with the RM.
Yes, the distortion is the RM.
So intellectually, again and again, we have to remind that we are infinite, we are Brahman, and we are not this body.
Yes, you have to tell yourself, you have to know that you are not the body. How do you know? Because body goes, right?
Yes. And in the previous slide, I'm sorry, the Paramatma was RM4, 5, and 6
Yes.
together. Thank you so much.
Paramatma is RC456.
RC456. Got that. Thanks.
RM456 blessed by OC is Paramatma.
Of course. Thank you.
Okay. So coming back to our mirror example, mirror and the face. So we discussed this quite a bit in the last class. Again, we will continue. So we saw that the reflection in the mirror is very much mithya. It's a dependent entity. We cannot say it is unreal because it is there, right? We can see it. So it is perceptually existent, but factually non-existent. Why? Because we never count the reflection as a real entity. You go in front of the mirror and you move your hands or move a little bit in front of the mirror. And what happens? The reflection also appears to move. Can you say that the reflection has life of its own? Can you call the reflection a sentient being?
No, ma'am.
No, right? Why? Because whatever movement the reflection has or whatever life the reflection appears to show, it is borrowed from you, the original. And so we never count the reflection as a real entity. Okay, we always dismiss reflections. Like the example, when you're sitting at home and if someone calls, you always say, it's just me at home. You never say it's me and 5 of my reflections all sitting here together, right? From your point of view, the reflections are dismissed. In what way are they dismissed? Intellectually dismissed. We cannot go around destroying mirrors and destroying reflections and then say that is a dismissal. No, it is an intellectual understanding only, right? Now, this knowledge, this understanding is the main thing. Suppose, there's a small child, okay, and he doesn't know how mirrors work. He doesn't understand the concept of a mirror. And suppose you take him, have you seen those mirror houses, that house of mirrors in these amusement parks? When you go, they have this full room full of different types of mirrors, and each mirror shows you a different version of yourself, right? Some you're tall, some you're wide, some you're some baby shape. All these things are there, right? And you take a small child who doesn't know about mirrors, and take him inside. What happens? He gets frightened. He sees different shapes and they terrify him, and he thinks they're all real, and he thinks these strange things are here to attack me. He may think that way, or he may even cry. Sometimes when the reflection appears favorable, he may even laugh about it, but sometimes he may also get terrified about it. But you, the one who knows how a mirror works, suppose you go inside. It is all just a game to you, right? It is all just amusement. You just see the different reflections and you laugh at it. Why? Because you know nothing has happened to you, the original. You know that these things are mithya. They are not really independently existent. You know that what you see is just a reflection which has no life of its own. And for you, it is all a game, all an amusement. For the child, he may really believe that these are different entities, these are different creatures. He may really believe that. So you, because you know, you are a mirror jnani. And this mirror jnani has mirror moksha. So mirror moksha is in the form of mirror jnanam. That is all. The only thing is that you know. Now, do you demand that I want to see my face, the original face? You know that is not possible, right? Because your face can never see itself. You can see a reflection, and that is as close as you will get. But at the same time, you know that that reflection is not really your real face. It is a reflection, right? So this is called as this knowing, this full knowledge, full assimilation. It is called as jnanam and moksha. Fully assimilated jnanam is nothing but moksha. So with the mirror example, it is easy to understand. So you understand that there is no becoming anything else. You understand that there is no experiencing anything else. You will never see your own face. So what is this moksha in the form of? It is only in the form of knowledge, of full knowing that my original face is not changed. What I see is only a reflection. And that reflection is mithya, unreal in the sense that it has no independent existence, and whatever existence it has, it borrows from me alone, and I, the original, am unaffected by whatever happens in the reflection. And so you go and you look at all the mirrors, and it is a game to you, a leela. You've heard the word leela, right? That is all. It is an amusement to you because you don't take it seriously. Okay, so this is the same concept of mirror jnanam and mirror moksha. If you apply to this atma, then it becomes atma jnanam and moksha. Okay, any questions?
So, Medhaji, it is the RC which is negating the RC?
Yes, RC has to negate RC intellectually.
Okay.
Okay. So what should this Jivatma do? Or what is all of his, where is all of his misery coming from? The misery is the idea that I am different, or I am seeing only the differences between myself and everything else. So as long as our vision is focused on the distortions, the differences, there will only be sorrow and misery. But once we shift our vision through correct understanding and we shift the vision to Atma, then all that there is only Atma, and I am that Atma. And that is what we call Advaita, non duality, not seeing the differences, not accepting the differences. Perceptually, the differences will continue, just like we have different reflections in the mirror. Perceptually, these things continue, but I don't accept because I know that that is not, they are not real. Okay, when I say not real, I don't mean perceptually unreal. I mean in the sense of mithya and satyam. They are not independently existent. Okay, so this Jivatma now realizes that me and God are one and the same. Me and Jagat are one and the same from the point of view of Atma, and Atma is finally the only valid point of view, right? Because all the other RMs, all the other reflections, they are all mithya. And that Atma, I am. So this is the understanding. So if you remember, we had discussed about Triputi in the last class also, and before also we have discussed the Triputi, the three things, Jiva, Jagat and Ishvara. So the Ajnani, the non-Jnani, always has this notion that there are three things. There is me, Jiva, and then there is Jagat, which is the world that I see around me. And then there is some entity called God, Ishvara, somewhere, usually in the heavens or something. And in the class on Maya, we had dropped one part of the Triputi. We had collapsed it by saying that Jagat and Ishvara are one and the same. How? Because what we call as Ishvara is nothing but Brahman plus Maya, right? Brahman plus Maya is equal to Ishvara. And this Jagat is a manifestation of that Ishvara. This Jagat is also Brahman plus Maya. And so what we call Jagat is just manifested Ishvara. The manifestation of Ishvara is Jagat. And so the creator and the creation are not different. The creation is a manifestation of the creator. There is no separate creator who lives outside of creation. The very creation itself is the creator, or rather the very creator is the creation. Okay, so this Jagat and Ishvara part of the Triputi had been collapsed. So now there is only two things, the Jiva and the Ishvara, right? And that is the equation we are seeing right now. Jivatma on one side and Paramatma on the other side. So Indira, I hope this answers your question. We have already collapsed one part of the Triputi previously. Now the other part of the Triputi remains to be collapsed, which is Jiva and Ishvara. So that part has to now be collapsed. And that is why we have made an equation and we are trying to see. And through this understanding that both sides are nothing but Atma, we have to dismiss this RM and what remains is OC. Then again, Jiva is equal to Paramatma. And this part of the Triputi is also collapsed. And what remains is Advaita alone, non-duality, only one Atma remains. And who is that Atma? Not some separate third party thing, okay? That Atma is you yourself. All right.
Thank you, Meda. But after we understand that we are that one Atman, Bhakti Yoga becomes a little intellectual. Like, whom are we praying to actually? When we know that we are that everything.
Here, what do you mean?
So if everything is consciousness, like I am that consciousness and everything end of the day is OC, then whom are we actually praying to?
What do you pray?
Like we are talking, right, like about the karma yoga with bhakti yoga, like to reach the chitta shuddhi, right? We are doing it mainly for chitta shuddhi.
Usually, most prayer is in the form of asking for one thing or the other, right?
No, I'm talking about offering to Ishvara Samarpana and Ishvara Prasada. So if
In that case, you are asking for chitta shuddhi, which is an acceptable prayer for a karma yogi. That is fine. But aren't you asking? Whether you are after
yes,
material gain or a spiritual gain, those are okay, different categories, but finally the common thing is asking, right?
yes,
When you ask, who are you asking for?
But in this case, there's still a duality, like, okay, I offer everything to Shiva, I accept everything as a prasad of Shiva. So there is still exist me, other, like Shiva is outside, he's not within me.
There
But
is,
if I know that I am Shiva, the consciousness, then I think I will not ask or even think about it because I already know.
yes. So when you pray, usually most prayer is in the form of asking for something or the other, right? If you remember the famous verse from Bhagavad Gita, Artho jignyasurartharthi jnani cha bharatarshava. You remember that one? There are four categories of bhaktas who come,
yes, correct. I
one
remember.
who comes only during emergencies. Artharthi, the one who comes for material benefits, he comes regularly, but only for material benefits. Jignasu, the one who comes for spiritual benefits, and then the Jnani. And he says the Jnani is the most supreme of my bhaktas, in the sense that the Jnani doesn't pray to ask. The Jnani worships creation, worships Bhagwan, because he knows he is not different from Bhagwan. He is himself that Atma. What the Jnani has is devotion, selfless devotion. It is not in the form of any kind of asking at all. So when you say prayer, what do you mean? That first you clarify, then it will be easy, because when we say prayer, generally we mean asking for something or the other. And when you are asking, it is always for Jivatma, for this one.
Megha ji, it's something like Purna Samarpan.
Samarpan. Okay.
Yeah, like I am a part, like again, who am I? मैं खुद ही ब्राह्मण का एक अंश हूँ तो फिर prayer ही क्या it's like I'm surrendering I'm just like I've accepted that I'm
Who is
sorry
that?
हाँ वो I mean like that is what I mean
You are Brahman, if you are the totality.
yes I am Brahman
What
so
is
I'm just
there to surrender to? The moment you use the words like surrender, part of, you are still somewhere subconsciously imagining yourself as a small piece, and you need to be a part of a bigger piece or surrender to a bigger piece, which means there are still pieces. That's the problem. There are no pieces.
okay
But
Medaji, where does this time fit in? That space we know, elements we know. So time is part of distortion. So for the Jivatma, the reckoning of time is different from reckoning of time for Paramatma in that sense.
They are all distortions, but they belong to Paramatma, Ishvara. Ishvara
So it
has
is part of, it is due to Maya that the time appears and time is felt.
all of these things, time and space, everything belongs to Maya.
But nowhere we are talking about time in these explanations. We talk about elements and distortions, but time is not directly addressed to.
It's not directly addressed, yes, but it is belonging to Maya.
Okay, thank you.
I remember one of the classes Raviji was telling it is good to recognize that Ishvara initial days, but you will later drop that idea also that you and Ishvara also are the same. Is that a good approach? Because now we all know that these conflicts keeps happening. Okay, we know that we are that consciousness now. Even for the karma yoga, though I'm not asking for chitta shuddhi, if I have to say that I'm whatever I'm doing now is Ishvara Arpana. So whom are we actually offering to then? So
That is your
that question.
Paramatma, but that is acceptable. As long as you're a karma yogi, it is acceptable. It is part of the journey, you can say, for Chitta Shuddhi. It is at once, if you ask people to drop this idea that, drop Paramatma, drop all this, it is difficult because the required Chitta Shuddhi is not there. So to cultivate that Chitta Shuddhi, it is okay to take the support of Bhagwan. Bhagwan as a different entity, a superior entity. It is okay to take support. You can lean on Bhagwan till you have the strength to walk by yourself.
Medaji, in this, there is no real importance to Guru, right?
Guru also, Guru, Bhagwan, Shastra, all of them come under the same entity. We don't treat them as different things.
Okay.
Menaji, two things. One, I went through the Bhagavad Gita, verse 19, where Raviji had a discussion that, okay, I am Brahman, but you should know it that I am the creator. So till the time you tell us that, till the time we are reminded that we are Brahman, it's okay. But as soon as he said that you should know that you are the creator, it blew my mind up. Like it made me think about it for a second that I still take myself as Jivatma, because if I am the creator,
Can't hear anything, please.
Hello, can you hear
We
me?
can hear him.
Go on.
We can hear him.
Push, go on.
Yeah. So this is one thing, that as soon as we consider ourselves Brahman, then we should also consider that we are a Prameya, we are a Bhokta, we are a Karta. So all these things, should it, like, how does it, I'm still like, okay.
See, when you are talking about the Brahman level, you are Brahman, that you have to accept. But the creator part, that belongs to Paramatma, Ishvara, right? That is Maya Sahita Brahman. That
Yes.
clarity should be there.
Yeah, because that's why for a moment I was stuck, like, how come I'm the creator?
When you say I am the creator, who is I? Are you talking about Kush, the body mind sense complex?
Or I the Brahman, yes.
Or are you talking about Brahman? If you are Brahman, you will anyway not say you are creator, because as Brahman, you are Akarta.
Yeah, I don't exist, or let's say, I got it. As Jiva don't exist separate than Brahman.
And Maya is a different RM.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mehtaji. It really clarifies. Even the example that you gave about the mirrors and, like the jnanam about the mirror, it was very, very effective. Thank you.
Next.
Neeraj,
Yeah.
I think there are a lot of yogis or there are a lot of people who didn't study this Tattva Bodha or Bhagavad Gita, but still they are on the, like, they are mokshi or they are mumukshi or mokshi. They got moksha. So, like, how?
If Chitta Shuddhi is sufficient, you don't need, if Chitta Shuddhi is high enough, very high, Tattvamasi is enough to liberate you. But for most people, that is not the case. Chitta Shuddhi is not at the required level. So you may need Tattva Bodha, then after that you may need Bhagavad Gita, after that you may need Upanishads, after that you may need Brahma Sutras also, and still it is not enough, and still you have to come back and do the whole thing again. Do you understand? It's all Chitta Shuddhi. If
Chitta Shuddhi,
TTC, right? Have you done TTC?
yeah, I do.
Done the TTC? You remember the topic, the 3 types of teachers and 3 types of students in that?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Anyone remembers who has done TTC? There was a topic called 3 types of students, 3 types of teachers. In that, I'm talking specifically about the 3 types of students. Do you remember the 3 categories?
Yeah, the gunpowder, the dried up, and the wet wood.
Yes, that is the subcategory. What is the 3 main categories?
The one, yeah.
The
Sattvic,
Ram-
Rajasic, and Tamasic. 3 types of students are there. Under Sattvic, there are 2 more categories. What are they?
the one who does immediately and the one who does it
Who
in a
takes,
little, who takes a little time.
yes. So the one who does immediately, what is he called? Dry wood. Is compared
Right.
to dry wood. And the one who takes time is compared to wet wood.
Good.
Why? Because the dry wood, you give one small spark, it will immediately catch fire. Right? And the wet wood, you have to wait. You have to dry it a little bit more, then it will catch the spark. So that is why some of them, some students, some seekers are very right. One statement, Tattvamasi, is the spark. Enough, they will catch the fire. But for most other students, it takes time. First, you have to dry the wood. What is drying the wood? Chitta Shuddhi, cultivating more and more purity of mind.
This state is depend on the past life and past life.
Everything. It is all a culmination. And of course, it is what you do presently also. Okay. So,
Menaji, can I ask something?
yeah.
So even to cultivate Chitta Shuddhi, we have to go into duality. Like even I have to follow few values, to
Yes.
right. Okay, and it's like it's a constant effort.
You cannot drop duality immediately. So don't.
Yeah,
It happens
that's right.
because someone told or something. It
Yeah,
takes,
so the practical part of Chitta Shuddhi, we have to go for the duality.
yes.
And
It
from the
is okay to accept that, okay, I'm at a karma yogi level. It is okay. It is,
Namaste.
yeah, it is okay to accept that. Don't think it is an inferior thing.
Yes.
On the path, that is the important thing.
Yes, but this also being a very tough job in the today's world, and being in a constant touch with that, like I have to be pure, I have to work for that.
Yes.
And you have everything around you which just keeps you pulling back.
There are a lot of sadhanas and tools given in the different scriptures. Different variety of techniques are given to develop this Chitta Shuddhi. And you can use anything and take that support, take that help. And it is not wrong at all. Veda itself has given so many of these techniques because Veda recognizes that it is needed.
It is needed.
That support is needed. So it's okay.
Okay. So can anytime we can discuss that also in any class or something? Because I think a few of us, maybe I am not aware of many techniques in that sense. Of course, puja and all these things.
Yes.
The
all the different things, japa, danam, yatra, different yajnas, different lifestyles, different all these panchamaha yajna, the Bodha, the manushya yajna, all these things to whatever capacity. Even all these hatha yoga techniques, asana, pranayama, all these things, all the different meditation techniques that are there, everything.
Okay.
All that is why several techniques are there. Even simply living your life with the attitude of a karma yogi, even seva to society, everything counts. So you don't have to feel like I have to do some very big, special, extraordinary tasks. It is not like that.
Yeah, not the extraordinary, but dealing with the samsara and keeping in mind that you're doing for this.
Smallest tasks also can be converted to sadhana with the correct
Sadhana. Attitude.
Yes.
Thank you, Meda.
Yeah. Lata?
Hi, Nedaji. Just wanted to talk about prayer. Now, at times prayer also, we just go ahead and actually say thank you. So even saying a thank you is something like, it's not an ask, but it's still a prayer, isn't it?
It is okay. It is not a wrong thing or something. It is when you say thank you, you are expressing gratitude for having received something, usually, or having you just say, okay, thank you for giving me this thing, or thank you that this thing is there in my life, right?
Yeah.
Who are you saying thanks on behalf of?
Self.
Right?
Okay.
The Jivatma, right?
Yeah.
There is still a duality. It is still the other side of asking, that's all.
Okay. Got it. Yes. You're right. Thanks.
Very good thing, but I'm just helping you analyze, that's all. I'm not saying
Yeah.
this is bad or you should stop them. Just as Vedanta, we have to become analytical. And so as long
Correct.
this notion that I am the individual, these things will continue. The moment that notion drops, then there is moksha.
Yes. Thanks.
I think we'll stop for today. It's time up, and then we can continue in the next class, the rest of the verses with the text.
Medaji, one question.
Yes.
Hello. This Jivatma can pray to Paramatma to remove the Maya, the distortion, on his behalf.
Pray for Chitta Shuddhi.
No, I know, but the easy way is pray to Paramatma, because he also is having empowered with the distortions removal techniques. So he can remove it for me.
The distortion can only be removed in the form of jnanam, knowledge. So the best that Paramatma can do is provide you with a guru, provide you with shastra, and put you in that position to learn.
Okay.
So that grace, that answer to that prayer comes in the form of guru and shastra teaching.
Okay, thank you.
We'll stop.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम् श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you, Medaji.
Thank you,
Thank you. Thank you.
Mhm.